welcome to the Tune Pack Podcast. I'm your host, the punk rock pop, Lee Pierce. And today we're going to be talking about consistency of branding. And we're lucky enough to be joined by the Koffin Cats. If you guys could take a minute to introduce yourselves.
Hey, I'm Vic. I sing lead vocals and play upright bass in Coffin Cats.
I'm Tommy. I play guitar and do backing vocals.
And I'm Eric, and I play drums.
And how long's the band been together?
June of 2003.
Oh, so you got a lot of years been doing this then, so that's cool. So, excuse me. So the reason I asked you guys to come on for this topic is you guys are in a genre, subgenre, whatever you want to call it, with rockabilly. And rockabilly is one of those genres where even though there's so many subgenres or anything, there's still a formula that kind of has to be there, or you don't get those hardcore fans, and people, but you still got to be unique enough that you stand out. And you guys excel at that, I think, because like whenever I see whether it's a stage performance, it could be just a picture or video, or I hear a song, or I see like the album artwork or posters, stuff like that, I instantly know it's you guys though. And is that something that actively thought about, or is it just kind of like an amalgamation of what you guys like and who you are became this kind of definitive brand, and look?
Well, I can say we growing up as punk rock fans at heart, looking at logos such as Bad Religion's logo, Dead Kennedy's logo, the Misfits Crimson Ghost, we wanted to have an image like that, and we were very lucky that our very first logo became what is kind of like the Misfits Crimson Ghost. So we wanted to make sure that we retained a certain logo and kept it throughout all the years. And so that's one thing where we wanted to make sure that if you saw that on a poster, you would, even if you just saw the logo itself, which we call the Bat Cat, you would know it's us. So we whether we understood it in our younger years, we knew very early on that we needed to have something that grabbed people's eyes, and we needed to have a sound and an image that stood out, hopefully would stand out, out of the crowd and everything.
Well, and for the image, definitely, because like you look, especially a lot of your album covers, a lot of bands along with their logo, they got a specific font they use every single time with their band name. And you guys don't. You kind of let it kind of go with the album cover and what works, but in the same sense, it doesn't change the fact, like you see your guys' silhouette or you see a picture of you and it's instantly recognizable, even without, the specific font that a lot of bands would use and try to stick with. So even with the, like I said, it's very specific branding, and I really appreciate that, because I like that when you're trying to like, oh, so and so's got something new, and then you're scouring through trying to find it. It's like as soon as you hear it, you're like, oh, so and so, Coffee Cat's got something new. And trying to think how to word it, but was it something? When it comes to bands wanting to do that, and when they're first starting out, like they know they've got something there, they know it's unique, is especially nowadays with how easily accessible everyone is because of social media. Is it important for the band to make sure they've got that branding, they know who they're going to be before they really put themselves out there?
It's hard because not every band that ends up sticking around starts as a version, and if after 5 years that band has usually found the sound or what they're going to become. So starting out at first and saying this is the image, this is the logo, this is our sound, I don't, that's not necessarily organic. But for what we tell younger bands starting out is make sure that people can read your name. That's always been the biggest thing for us, and why one of the reasons that you've seen different Coffin Cat logos is that we were continuously trying to figure out ways to have a Coffin Cat logo that you'd recognize it's us, but you'd be able to read it from far away. But we wanted to have it, have some sort of originality to it. And if you have noticed our imagery in the last 5 years, we've been kind of maintaining this logo we called the Slasher logo, which was designed by Mark Kosobuki, who does a lot of art for other great artists such as Misfits and a lot of other bands as well. And so it was cool linking up with him because he understood what we were saying about I want to be able to have a t-shirt design where if you looked across a festival and saw that shirt, you'd recognize it being our shirt, at least with the logo. So that's very important, as far as I'm concerned, is making sure that people can actually read and understand the name.
Well, yeah, exactly. Get into some of like the black metal and some of the stuff like I look at the name, I'm like, I don't understand. I'm a marketing guy. I don't get it. If I can't even read the name, I don't know what I'm supposed to look up if I want to hear more of this band. It's so confusing to me. And then they're like, well, nobody's listening to us. They don't know what your name is.
Yeah, and even the Coffin Cat name itself, a good friend of ours, a good tattoo artist friend of ours who's done a lot of work on us over the years, Sam Wolf. He's actually the originator of the Coffin Cat name, and he drew the Batcat logo for us. The name Coffin Cats itself was something that came from, because we always get, what's the meaning behind it? Well, the meaning behind it is a name that when Sam and I were joking around coming up with cliche psychobilly names, Coffin Cats was one that he had. And I said, Sam, that sounds like a name that's already should be out there. That sounds like something you've heard before, but yet nobody had used it yet. And at that particular point in time, um, Tommy and I were just getting what would become Coffin Cats off the ground. And Sam was like, well, you guys can, here you go. And so thanks,
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 Sarah.
thanks to Sam Wolf for the name. Yeah.
That's awesome. So, like, you guys do have a definite brand, and I've seen, you started, like you said, you had the punk roots, so it was your earlier stuff was little more punk than the psychobilly side of it. You're still developing your sound. And of course, as artists grow, I mean, you become more technical musicians, you become more technical writers. So of course, your sound's going to develop more and you're not even change, but it's just going to get cleaner. It's going to get crisper.
Yeah.
And when you do start, like, oh, hey, we know a new song or something like that, when you have such a distinct sound and images you guys have and have been doing it as long, do you worry about changing up at all because people have become such gatekeepers with not just any genre? It doesn't matter what it is. As soon as a band tries something new, there's all the old school I was there first fans that just shit all over it. Do you have any anxiety about when you're like, I really want to do this song but I don't know what people are going to say about it, or do you just go for it?
No, we have zero anxiety because the thing is that our set list already is set in stone in the sense that 75% of it will always be the core material that got the original fans into it. That's something we strongly believe in is that if you're coming out to see us, we know why you're coming out to see us is because you're a fan of the early material. So that's always going to be locked in right there. And the other 25% of writing new songs, we have fun with it. And we always have with every album that we do. And now with the ability that we have our own studio, we can self-record and release as we want to. We get to experiment even more. But anybody who's been actually paying attention to us over the years knows that every album we do is different from the last. And there was never a there was something where we were fortunate to be a band that has a sound. And then we said, okay, cool. We have a sound. Let's see how far we can stretch the boundaries of the sound that we have. And I mean, as long as my voice doesn't change too drastically over the next 20 years, I think that we can keep releasing music and people are going to know it's Coffin Cats.
Yeah, and that's something I always appreciate. I mean, I'm 49. I still listen to the same dozen bands that I've listened to for the last
So do we.
35 years.
Yep.
And it's one of those things, it's a double-edged knife because like if you're not sold on a band, it's like, well, every goddamn album sounds the exact same, so I don't want to listen to them. But the reason I like the bands that I do is because every single album sounds the exact same. And that's what I want to hear, you know. I want every album to sound like a greatest hits because the songs are so familiar already because of the sound. And I think you guys nail that even when you do, because you do every album, like you said, every album is a little bit different and your sound develops over the years. But you guys have got that too, where you've got that core fan group because you know what it's going to sound like. It's going to sound like the Coffin Cats, and that is its own sound. And I think that's really awesome that you guys have been able to develop that. Like I said, especially in any spin-off of punk or rockabilly, there's always the purist because there's a formula you're supposed to have, and you guys, you do it, but you do it in your own way. That it's just it's cool. I'm just fanboying here, sorry.
Well, and I guess it was almost a happy accident because I can tell you that when we first started this band, if we tried to set out and say we want to sound like the Stray Cats or we want to sound like Necromantics or we want to sound like Reverend Horton Heat, we weren't talented enough to emulate those sounds directly. So what you got was a bastardization of all those influences together, and that was what made the monster that it is now.
Well, I always loved because to me it was especially the earlier albums, but still, I mean, it's a three-piece punk band, just happen to have an upright bass instead of a belt buckle bass, you know? I mean, and that's just I love that because everything can be improved with an upright bass. So well, punk rock's always good, no matter any three instruments, as long as you got three good guys and a singer with balls, it's going to be punk rock and it's going to be fun. Oh, so, what have you guys been up to? I know you are right in mid tour. Why don't you tell everybody a bit about the tour you guys are on?
We're on the second leg of the Aquabats tour, along with Mike V and the Rats. Just wrapped up the first leg of it in Boston a couple weeks back, and then had a couple weeks off and started back in San Diego a couple days ago. And it's amazing. It's just fun from start to beginning.
Yeah, I keep saying touring with the Aquabats, it's like mainlining antidepressants every night. It's an absolutely amazing energy to experience every night is what those guys can put into a big room like they've been doing.
Yeah, I couldn't even imagine. I mean, that's literally their brand is positivity. Like, I mean, that's got to be just awesome being around that just on a constant basis. And yeah, like what they put out and what the fans give back. I mean, it's got to be like a freaking tent revival in there every night, man.
Yeah,
It's
but
amazing.
in the one of the big reasons that we wanted to get on this tour, well, one, we knew it was going to be a great tour, but the other reason being is that they have a fan base of all ages, and the shows when we go on tour, it's hard for a band like us to get all ages shows. It just is. There's a lot of overhead. It's expensive for clubs to do it, so the opportunities for us to get all ages shows are few and far between. So to be able to join a tour like this and be able to be playing in front of younger kids that are just getting into punk rock and just getting into all this stuff, to be able to be up there and show them the upright bass, and it's awesome to see the look on kids' faces. It's the same look that I had the first time that I ever saw Reverend Horton Heat live. It's that magic where they're like, I've never seen anything like that, and it's incredibly rewarding. And it's also cool to think that, hey, maybe we'll be able to be touring for the next 20 years because of this next generation that's coming up.
Well, yeah, especially because for kids nowadays, they don't. A lot of kids are starting into music. Period. They're more worried about social media and stuff like that. So kids that are into getting into music and stuff like that, you don't see the live performances. Everything's more polished. A lot of the stuff is done on computer and stuff like that and overproduced and things like that. So they don't know normal instruments, let alone getting to see something like an upright bass and see the show you guys put on or the show that the Aquabats put on has got to be just incredible to be able to see their faces. That's got to be just awesome.
Absolutely. And they're getting the great thing about this particular package is that you're getting Mike V and the Rats, who bring their own rock and roll punk style into everything. and then you got us coming up there, and then you got the Aquabats, and it's like if you can't have a good time at this show, then I don't know, you're just a jerk, I guess.
That should be the tagline. I like the tour T-shirts. If you can't have fun here, you're just a jerk. And then you guys just came off. You guys got to be tour guides at the Punk Rock Museum in Vegas. Why don't you tell us a bit about that?
That was a good time. We when we got the offer, we were like, "Well, sure, that's great." And we'd actually been through the museum a few times now, so we knew the lay of the land. But we were like, "Well, we know about the bands that we like, but that museum has a very extensive history of all things punk rock." And so we were saying, let's approach this as come experience the museum with us because I don't want to, none of us want to stand there and BS our way through things. So, so
Yeah.
we had a great time and it was a good group of friends and fans that bought tickets to go through it with us. And we had fun and we got to play in the Pennywise garage setup and I believe that got live streamed. So I believe you can look that up at the Punk Rock Museum if you want to see it.
I was watching it today. Actually, it's out
Oh,
there.
great.
You guys. That was awesome getting to see that. That was pretty cool. I got to get out there to that museum one of these days. I don't know when it's ever going to happen, but eventually.
You'll love it.
Yeah, I believe they put Tommy's guitar in there, right?
Yeah. Yeah, they did.
Oh,
That's just a huge honor for me.
that's
That's it.
awesome. Congratulations. Because, yeah, like you said, I mean, people think, oh, it's punk rock museum, was there, the typical 8 to 10 bands. No, it's a museum. Like, it's archives. Like, it's, yeah, like I bet I wouldn't know 10% of anything going in there. It would be absolutely awesome. I'm a nerd. I love researching crap. So, like, that would be absolutely a blast to go in there. I'd be in there for days and
On some of
days.
the stuff they just have in there, you're never going to see that anywhere else. Some of the old artifacts they have, or some of the TV videos, it's like that's gone.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because it's not like now where everything is recorded. You got too much coming at you. Trying to find any type of archives from even 30 years ago. I've got my whole wall over here is all flyers from 30 years ago, and I had a hell of a time tracking those down. Nobody even prints out flyers and handbills anymore. So trying to find any memorabilia from now. Me and my wife were talking about that, like all of the hand-me-downs and stuff that we collect and the vintage and stuff like that. Well, you can collect it because it's still in one piece. Anything that was made in our lifetime, nobody's going to be able to collect that because it's all going to fall apart.
Yeah, the one of the talking points that we kept going back to is because again, we're there as fans too. Like there's just hard to wrap your head around the fact that you're standing there and looking at, there's one of Billy Joe from Green Day's guitars there behind the glass, and it's we were saying like this is crazy because these are all things that we grew up looking and buying magazines and looking at in pictures, and here it is in real life right there in front of you. It's surreal.
Well, now, and rightfully, deserved. Now, you guys, like your guitars in there, you guys got to be guides there, and it's for a good reason. You guys belong there, so please give you guys some credit. I know it's hard to believe where you're at after everything you've came through, but you guys deserve it, man. You guys are amazing. I'm glad to see you guys are getting, your dues.
We're three middle class dudes, lower middle class dudes from the
Lower.
Midwest. It's hard for us to just be like, yeah, what I mean. Like we're just normal dudes, and it's hard. It's always been hard for us to when people say, man, it's so cool you get to do this, and we're like, yes, like we're still stoked. We're always stoked, and I think that's why we keep that's one of the driving factors behind why we're able to tour so much and keep going out there is that we love what we do. And we're very fortunate to do what we do. And we know how much we won the lottery being able to do this and, with things lining up and just being able to, it was persistence. I will say that, we've just always been like, no matter what it takes, we have to get out on the road. We have to get out on the road, and that's what we put our noses to the grindstone, and that's what we did. And we'll continue to do as much as our health allows us.
It's awesome. So, hold on a second. Sorry.
What you got in that water bottle, dude?
Oh, gee, I'm trying to stay awake. God, remember, it's after 10 o'clock here, man. Come on. I don't live the rock and roll lifestyle. I'm not
Us
joking.
either.
Uh, so, with doing the big tour like this, and you're getting to meet a lot of new fans, um, which do you prefer, actually? Do you like it where you're getting to see the new fans experiencing you guys for the first time? Or when it's you guys are the headliner and everybody's there to see you? Or is it kind of, it's fun seeing it from both sides?
You're gonna want a mix of that stuff. It's good from a branding standpoint. You're going to want the band to obviously excel and grow and meet new fans. So the best way to do that is to play in front of other people's audiences. But at the same time, we love our fans that have been with us since day one. We have people that have been around for 20 years watching us and still coming to shows, bringing their kids. Some of these people have bringing their grandkids to shows now. So to have both sides of that coin is necessary and also fun.
That's awesome. And well, like you said, it's a generational thing now, I mean, I've got a grandson now, my kids listen to
Exactly.
music that I was listening to because, it's like we listen to what our parents listened to. And getting out and you guys and Mike V and the Rats and the Aquabats, it's a perfect tour because you're gonna have a few people that are like, oh yeah, I like all three of those bands. But most of it, it's like, yeah, I like two of them and I'd love to see the other one and find out. So you've got a real cross section of fan bases on that tour. And like you said, it's all high energy though and positive too though. So yeah, because I was actually talking to someone. I said that I was having you guys on, and I was going to talk about consistency of branding, and they brought up, aren't they on the Bats, Rats, and Cats tour? I'm like, yeah, and I'm like, and that's good branding because they're a fun band, high energy, and I can't think of two better ways to describe either Mike V and the Rats or Aquabats either. You guys all have that high energy, positivity, and if you're gonna come see you, it's gonna be fun to watch. So I think it's cool that you guys got the cross section where even though it's new fans, they're looking for that same experience that they're going to get from you that they're getting from the bands that they're going to see. So it's an awesome opportunity. I wish I could get to see the tour because it looks like it'd be a lot of fun. All right. So what else have you guys got coming up?
This month we have the Hot Rod Rock and Rumble out in Fountain, Colorado, and also Muddy Roots, and that's in August, both those shows. And then following,
We have a Northeast tour, right? And that's in
well, that'll be
that.
that'll be at the end of the year.
I'm just thinking that's the
Yeah.
next tour that's going to be happening when this airs, I believe.
Oh, okay, yeah. After the air of this, we got a show in Texas, and then yeah, the Northeast tour, which we're finalizing that lineup now, and then we should start announcing those shows and do all that within the next month here, and then yeah, well, that'll take us in the new year when we typically do like our tour cycles. You'll see us doing a lot of runs down to Florida and Texas and California up the West Coast, stuff like that. And obviously, being where we are, we'll hit all the Midwest stuff coming in and out, Chicago and Indianapolis and whatnot, and hopefully work on Europe soon.
It's a lot of tours. You guys do like spending about on average, how many days of the year are you guys on the road?
We a typical year for us these days would be anywhere from 75 to 100 shows.
Yeah, it's
Geez,
not. We did a span where it was at least 250 days out of the year, and that span lasted a good 4 to 6 years, where we were basically living out of a shuttle bus and would come home for a week or two and get back out on the road because none of us had the rock and roll was our job. And we would set the tours up so close that there was no time to be home doing work or get a job to make the ends meet. It would just be let's go back out on the road. So we booked tours really tight back in the day, And but as you get older and you start families and things like that, you have to kind of have a home base, and sometimes you have to be at that home base more than you were and used to. So over the last 5 years, we've really worked out being able to have that back home life balanced with road life, and we've been able to integrate jobs back home. The three of us all work together all the time, whether we're on tour or not on tour. And actually, I should say the four of us, because one guy, the unofficial fourth member of Coffin Cats, is our merch guy, Joey Drink Tickets. And everybody will recognize him as he's always on the road with us, except for he's actually back home working right now. When we are not on tour, we are actually installing irrigation systems when the ground is not frozen in Michigan. And so he's back home taking care of the business back home right now.
I didn't know that you guys had all ran a business together. That's awesome.
Yeah, it was a product of the pandemic. So when that happened, and in Michigan, it was everybody had to basically go on layoff, and so when that when all the lockdowns happened. So if you were an outdoor worker, you could choose to not work, essentially. So a lot of people chose unemployment, and that meant our buddy Joey, who had the irrigation company, didn't have any workers. And it just so happened that we didn't have any tours because that got all taken away from us. So we said, "All right, Joey, I guess we're your new crew. Your new install crew." And so we basically incorporated ourselves into the irrigation business to make the ends meet when music couldn't happen, and then found that over the years we were able to actually balance it out so that in the off season, when we couldn't work in Michigan, we would hit the road. And now as the economy changes and things like that, we're finding that, we might be able to, now we can do summer tours because the building in Michigan is not the same. So the new installations of irrigation systems is slowing down. That kind of thing, adult stuff, no fun adult stuff. Yeah.
Oh, two things on that. First off, 75 to 100. You're like, oh, we're only doing 75 to 100. That sounds batshit to me.
Yeah,
And
that
then
feels like
talking about 200. What the hell? That does no. I want no.
That's why
part of
we
that.
say the 75 so nonchalant, because we think back to 250 shows where that used to become normal to us, and now 75, that even though we've been doing it for quite a few years now, it still feels not as much as what those days were, because we just lived in a van or the shuttle bus. We've had numerous vehicles throughout the years, but we just would get in them and go and make them home, and that was it.
Well, and touring when you're off season, when you're not doing the installing, people don't get Midwest. I'm from Wisconsin, so Midwest, at least I know around here, most bars and venues don't book anything from like November to March, unless they can book like outdoor beer garden or stuff like that, because people just don't go out nearly as much. So if you want to play in that off season, you've got to tour. You're not going to find a whole lot of local places to play. Doesn't matter if you're a big touring band or a local cover band. You're not getting booked for several months at a time in the Midwest.
Texas and Florida. Texas and Florida sees a lot of us in the wintertime.
We
Is that
escaped
what
that
kind of
escaped that snow.
did that kind of drive you towards doing your touring, because you weren't being able to book gigs up here, even though it's cold and shitty? Nobody wants to be out anyways up here, but
It was
more. Crap, my earbuds just died. Of course they did.
I'll pick that one up. Basically, we have to strategically tour how we play the Midwest, and for us, the here, I'm going to go over here so you don't get that echo. For us, the Midwest stuff, we have to be careful how we come and go out of Michigan. So we try not to use too much Midwest stuff and go straight down to Florida or straight down to Texas. And we save that stuff for when the weather is nicer, and we'll go up into Wisconsin and over we love playing in Madison and Milwaukee, and
That's awesome. So how many more dates you got left on the tour, the current tour with the Rats and the Bats?
We finish up just under 2 weeks, 2 Saturdays from now. So we still got like 10 shows, something like that, 9 shows left.
And then how much downtime do you guys have until you head back out? Or are you guys just heading right back out on another tour?
No, we're home. We got some one-off stuff. Like Eric was saying, like I think August 22nd, we're out in Colorado. The 28th or something like that, we're in Muddy Roots of August. And then a one-off in November. And then Thanksgiving Eve kind of starts a tour.
Have you guys played Muddy Roots before?
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we played that a few years back.
Yes, I've never gotten down there. Just about every band I know has played that, and everybody I know has been to it. It's just, man, that's a lot of traveling. I'm too old to go camping, man. It hurts getting up and off that floor anymore.
Yeah, it's a great time down there, though.
Yeah, it looks like it, because like I said, everyone I know is at that. So like that's all my social media is nothing but Muddy Roots while it's going on. I might as well be there. Actually, I don't need to be. I get to enjoy it from my recliner all dry. All right. Well, I want to thank you guys for coming on. I really appreciate it, especially having being right in the middle of the tour and everything like that. You guys have had a long few days of travel too. So, I mean, thank you guys a lot for coming on. Do you guys got any last minute advice for anybody when it comes to, just trying to brand but still stay true to yourself?
I really think it's something that comes organically. I always try to say it comes. This is our approach to writing music. If it doesn't just kind of fall out of us, we don't force it. And I think that's the same thing that should happen with your branding. Let it happen organically. Let it be. Don't try to just sit down and make something happen. Play shows with your band, have a name, but then something will happen. Something will happen in that first 6 months as a band where a funny drawing will come across, a certain poster will just look cool. You'll find it. It'll happen. Just let it happen organic, and that's the best way I think that you can go about your branding. And then, really, I mean, is it something where that brand needs to reflect how the sound of the music is? Not necessarily, but it's something where it needs to stand out in the crowd. It needs to stand out in the crowd. And so you have to think about, do I put a skull with wings and make that my band logo? That's probably not the best idea. They're coming from a band that has winged everything. Maybe not think that way. You know,
Guys, like I said, thank you very much for taking time out. You guys got a really busy schedule, and I appreciate it. So, again, everybody, thanks for tuning in. Remember, please like, subscribe, share, give us some feedback. Let us know what we're doing right and what we're doing wrong. Everyone, tell Koffin Cats thank you, and we will see you next time.
thank you so much for having us.
Thank you.
Thank you.